Assalamu alaikum. Differences between student and teacher centric approach. We know there are two approaches or methods of teaching. One is student centered approach or student centric approach. Sometimes we call student oriented approach. And the other is teacher-centric approach, teacher-centered approach, teacher-oriented approach, or also method. Okay, let's see what are the differences between these two approaches. Okay, teacher-centric approach. In the teacher-centric approach, the focus is on the educator. Educator means teacher, tutor. He plays a major role. In this approach, teacher plays a major role. Okay. In a teacher-centric approach, the children are hesitant to communicate with the teachers and don't even ask logical questions. Most of them stay mum. They remain silent. They play the role of silent spectators because in this approach, students' participation in the lesson isn't ensured. Okay. In this method, the relationship between students and teachers remains distant. Relationship between students and teachers remains distant. Okay. Because here the participation of the students is not ensured and the teachers don't take any initiative to communicate with the students. The students take the lecture and leave the class. Here, a teacher arrives like a leader and delivers his or her lecture and then leave the class. So, no participation of the student is ensured here. So the students take the lecture, that is to say they listen to his or her lecture and then leave the class. Okay. Importance on understanding of the lesson isn't ensured. The teacher-centric approach follows the traditional learning method to make the learners learn. There is very less engagement of students and teachers in this approach as already told. Hence the class tends to be boring and students overwhelming for the students and sometimes overwhelming for the students to attend. As students remain silent, they play the role of silent spectator. They are not supposed to play any active role, so the class may be boring to them. The instructor elevates the learning process. The instructor selects the topics to discuss. The teacher answers the questions of all the students. Students may ask the teacher's questions and the teacher answers the questions. Okay. The instructor corrects the students at every moment. In this approach, the student works independently. Okay, they need not depend on the teacher, and also the teachers don't depend upon them. No interaction is seen in this type of approach. Teacher-centric approach. In a teacher-centered approach, the classroom remains strict and orderly. Strict and orderly imposed by the teacher. Okay. So the class is run ineffectively, unpleasantly. The second one is student-centric approach. In a student-centric approach, the focus is on the learner and the steps are taken to make them stay independent. Here, the main focus is given on the learner. Here, the learners play a great role in the lesson and takes an active part. Here, the participation of the learners are ensured. Okay. Students and teachers interact between them among themselves. In a learner-centered classroom, communication and collaboration are developed to make the learning process easy and effective. In the learner-centric environment, the learning process is absorbed and the child discovers the meaning of different concepts by collaborating with the teacher. Regular interaction happens between the teacher and the students. Frankly speaking, in this approach, a student, a teacher speaks less, and the students are motivated and inspired to speak more and more. They are assigned with different types of tasks, such as group work, peer works. Okay, they are made to remain busy. Okay. In a student-centered approach, the instructors become facilitators, and subjects are taught interactively with the help of games and other fun exercises. Here, teachers facilitates the learning process, lessons. Okay, he plays the role of a facilitator. The engagement is high between teachers and students. Here, the participation of both of them, that is teachers and students, is ensured, and the class is not boring. Rather than the class becomes interesting, effective, pleasant. Uh, the students have some control over the topics. The students can select some topics for discussion. Here the participation in the discussion and lesson of the students is ensured, so the students can interact with the class, communicate with the teachers. Okay, the instructor doesn't answer the students questions, rather he acts as an information resource. The instructor acts as a facilitator and corrects the students at the end when the feedback or correction needs arise. In this approach, the student works in peers or groups, as already told. The student-centered learning, the learners have the freedom to acquire knowledge at their pace. In this student-centered approach, students get the opportunity of participating in the lesson, interacting with the teachers and communicating with the teachers. Both of them, teacher and students, play an active role in making the lessons effective, interesting. Okay, and nowadays the teaching method or approach is student centric or student centered. Here, all the preparations of the teachers and arrangements by the teachers are only for the welfare of the learners. In this approach, teachers think of the betterment of the students. Okay, here students don't remain silent. Thank you.